Find a link to the denim pattern pieces in the comments below. I've pre-prepared my pieces for this messenger bag. So this is a front zip pocket. I'm marking the magnetic snap position and inserting that before we make the front pocket. So I'm going to be lining the pocket and you won't be able to access it to put your snap in later. I like to iron a little bit of fusible interfacing over the top. This is the zip which will close the front zipper pocket. I'm just shortening it here, making sure the ends tie nicely and adding zipper tabs to the zip. So finger crease your fabric over so your raw edges are enclosed. Place your zipper inside and make sure you get the right width of zipper tab. Pin and then stitch to secure. Next, you're going to need your lining fabric placed right side up, zipper tab with a zip to the right hand side, right side up. Stitch, then fold over, open out. Place your denim hem leg so it's along the top, parallel to the top of the zipper, and stitch. Next, we're going to secure the other side of the zip to the front panel of the bag. I'm just pinning the location of that. And then flip your fabric out and continue to pin and then stitch along that line in securing the zipper in place. One finished zipper pocket for the front of your bag. Now we're going to make the external bag. Going to put the side panels down, and you're going to stitch with your seam allowance about 1.5 centimetres, 5/8 of an inch. You're going to start at the top and run down to the bottom and stop 5/8 of an inch from the bottom. It helps to use a quilting foot to feed the fabric through at equal speed. I do have a different video showing you how to sew 3 layers of denim if it helps. Now you're going to sew your bottom panel on, again starting and stopping the distance of your seam allowance. Then pin your corners and stitch those, again starting and stopping the width of your seam allowance from the edge, and that's just going to help the bag form together. We're making the lining. I've already put in a slip pocket, as you can see. I'm pinning the sides, and I'm going to repeat the process like I did for the outer bag, but for the lining. Finish the inner bag off by putting the back piece on, or the front piece, whichever it is. Again pinning, stitching down from the top and stopping just short at the end. That just makes your corners so much easier. This is a lot easier than it looks. I remember when I first started bag making, I was a bit intimidated by this, but it really is easy to do. So stitch and finish that in a lining. We're going to be making the outer zip pocket for the front clothing flap. This is at a diagonal angle and adds a bit of fun to the bag, a bit of detail, a bit of interest. Like you did for the zip for the front pocket, you're going to make some zipper tabs, although these don't need to be as detailed. You just need to pin and stitch a straight line and fold over. There we go. Now let's work out the placement of the lining fabric for the zip pocket. It's 4 inches from the top to about 6 inches, 4 inches on the right hand side, 6 inches on the left side. You're marking your zipper tab space 1/2 inch wide, a rectangle, machine stitch around it, then cut along the middle and then diagonally into the corners. This then enables you to turn your lining fabric through to the other side. There we go. This really needs a very good press now to get some nice crisp edges. Next, place your zip, sorry about my head, place your zip into the zipper pocket hole you just created, and pin. I like to tack this in place. I like it to be really good and secure. I know some people use double-sided tape, some people use a glue stick to hold it. I am much happier tacking it. Personally, it's worth an extra couple of minutes to do that. Just because I know that if I don't, my zip is just going to move around a little bit and I'm not going to get such a straight line for the zip down the middle. Stitch to secure. Now turn the fabric over. On the back, fold up your lining fabric to create an envelope. I'm just shortening the edges there so that it fits within the bag flap piece. I'm going to machine stitch round the 3 unfinished edges, being careful not to catch the front panel piece for the closing flap. Just folding it out the way as I pivot and finish this pocket off. There we go. Now add a leather tag, if you've got one, to the corner right of your bag. I hand stitch this into place. I've used a double cotton here because I didn't have anything thicker. I've gone for a grey because that's going to complement my lining fabric and my bag strap. I'm using the holes that already exist from the leather. This used to be on the back of the jeans. I'm just going to stitch all the way around and secure this nicely in place. Cut tabs for your messenger bag strap. I've used bias binding just to add a bit of detail. These are about 4 inches long, I think, but check the pattern. Fold them over, pin to the side of the bag. Now you're going to make sure that when you stitch them, you can still stitch around the top of your bag to add the lining. Now for the closing flap, we're going to pin this on. I haven't actually stitched the lining and the front together, but it's to help me get the position of the magnetic snap. I'm going to mark that and put that in. Then I'll add some fusible interfacing over the top just to secure that. Now you've got your lining facing the table and your top of your flap facing you. Pin some bias binding around the edge. Now I've made some out of my lining fabric, cutting it at a 45-degree angle. And because this is a super thin fabric, it's a Liberty fabric, it's cotton lawn, I did add some woven fusible interfacing to it before I cut it. So stitch it all round, then turn it over and pin down the other side and either stitch in the ditch or hand stitch. I prefer to hand stitch just because I'm better at it, and close the bias binding. Now we're going to add the flap. So your bag is, you can see it's nearly complete. Right, now to add the lining. So you can see I'm inserting the bag right side up to meet the right side of the lining. I'm going to fold those strap tabs down and I'm going to pin round all the way around the bag and then stitch it in place. You may need a jean jig to go over the edges. That's in the video I mentioned earlier about how to sew jeans. I'm going to use my quilting foot just so that both sides of the fabric feed through at an equal speed. It's a bit tricky this. Go for a long stitch, take your time. There we go. Don't forget to leave a turning gap. I'll leave that at the front about 5 inches wide. Pull the bag through Now you're going to press it down really well around that top seam and fold in those raw edges. And I like to give it a very good press, making sure at the back of the bag the lining is pressed well in and the flap and the main body of the bag are pressed neatly too. Because then we're going to top stitch all the way around, and that's going to stop the lining fabric pulling up. There, that's the seam that you need to give a good press to. Right, final step, the strap. So I've already sewn the slider buckle on one side, I'm threading through. So close. And then back through the side tab, fold it over and stitch. And that's one bag finished, made from an old pair of jeans. I love it.